Hi there, in this video I'm going to talk through my favourite shoots from the last 2 years and my favourite images that I've taken during them. This video is going to be a little bit different than normal. You might be able to tell from my voice that I'm a little bit croaky because I've not been very well over the last week, so I haven't been able to get out with a camera. So instead of not putting out a video at all, I thought what I'd do is I'd just sit down and I'd talk you through some of my past shoots from the past 2 years and explain some of the behind the scenes moments and some of my theory about why I took the shots and why some of these images are my favourite. And most of all, just explain why I enjoy my photography. Anybody that's been to the channel before will have heard me say how important I think it is for you to enjoy your photography. Now, if you're getting up early in the morning to take a picture of a landscape or sitting in a cold hide to take pictures of wildlife, you've got to enjoy yourself. Now, don't take pictures for somebody else, what they're expecting, especially judges, because it's most important that you get pleasure out of what you do. Now, that doesn't stop you from wanting to improve your photography. That's just as important. Taking better pictures is what we should all be striving to do, but taking pictures for somebody else's rules or to try and fit in with somebody else just takes the enjoyment out of the photography. One thing I do plan to do in the next few weeks is another question and answer session. Now, it's about a year since I last did one and I've gained a load more subscribers since then. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, you can ask me anything. I don't guarantee to answer them all, but leave them down below in the comments and I'll try and answer them in my question and answer video coming soon. What I've done is I've picked out 4 of my favourite shoots from the last 2 years to talk about, and the first one is going to be trees in the fog from the beginning of the year back in January. Now, this was a really special shoot because I've wanted to take pictures of trees in the fog for a long while. Now, a little bit of behind the scenes info, I did actually take this over 2 days because on the first day when I did all the filming, the sunrise wasn't very colourful, and a few days later I had exactly the same conditions, so I revisited the same location and I got much better light. All of the shots with loads of colour in the sky were taken from the second day. So there's some shots like this one that was taken on the first day where the sky is very white and it's almost mono in its tone compared with this shot, which is more colourful. And the second day's shoot were just so much more atmospheric. But actually getting to this location and spending some time there with the great colours, I think I've produced some really strong images and I'm really proud of them. It's very difficult to pick a favourite image from the morning. Now, this was taken on the second day when there was a little bit more colour in the sky, but I like this one because I think the image is very well balanced. The main tree on the right hand side is quite dominant, but balanced by the 2 trees on the left that are a little bit further back in the image, so it's balanced quite nicely. And I've just positioned myself so that the sun falls between the gap in the branches of the main tree, and I think the whole thing works really well. Now, the second shoot that I'm going to talk about was from earlier in the year again, when I went out into the hide in my garden to take pictures of birds in the snow. Now, if you've seen the channel before, you'll know about my hide in the garden. If you haven't seen the channel, it's an old shed that I've converted into a hide, and it's really useful having that right on the doorstep because you can get out there and take pictures of birds at any time. Now, I had set up some perches a previous day or 2 before, and when the snow fell, it accumulated on the perches and made for some really atmospheric shots. What I also did that day is I got the drone up and I took some shots of the bird area in the snow, which was quite interesting, and I got some slow motion shots of the snow actually falling as well. So the whole video feels very atmospheric. What I did choose as my favorite image from the shoot was this shot here of a goldfinch on one of the branches covered with snow. Now what I did do for this shot is I cropped it into square format. Now sometimes when I present images on YouTube, I will leave them at the full 1920 by 1080 format so it fills the entire frame. Sometimes though that doesn't work in a composition sense, and so when I cropped this into a square format it was much better because there was too much on the outsides and I wanted to focus on the bird and the twig itself, so the square format for this worked much better. Now the third shoot that I'm going to talk about was from last year. Now it was between lockdowns in England and I did just about manage to get away for a few days to the Lake District. Now I don't get the chance to do this very often because of work commitments, but if you do get a chance to go away specifically to take photographs, it helps for you to focus on the job that you're doing rather than thinking of lots of other things. You can be in the right place at the right time. And on this particular day, what I wanted to do was get up for the sunrise over Buttermere. Now to make sure I knew what location I was going to, the previous evening I had a little walk around the lake to try and scout locations so that when I got up the following morning in the dark I could go straight to the right place to take the shot that I wanted. Now I'd got the idea in my mind. It's a very well photographed tree at the end of Buttermere, the lone tree of Buttermere I think they call it, but as I've said before, if you've never taken a particular shot, even if lots of other people have, it's still a really enjoyable thing to do, to take something that somebody else might have taken before, but just put your own little spin on it. So there's nothing wrong with that. So I got up very early in the morning and walked to the location completely in the dark with a head torch and set up my camera waiting for the sun to rise. Now what I did do, I don't know whether I mentioned this in the video, I don't think I did, but I had to rush back to the car because I'd forgotten my filters and I really wanted those, and so I missed the absolute ideal moment. I didn't really miss a lot, but what I did do in the process is I lost the spot that I wanted because another photographer had turned up and got into the spot that I was first camped out in. So make sure that you've got all your equipment before you go out. But as the sun came up, I got some really nice colours in the sky, and with the filters I could slow down the shutter speed and blur the water and the sky, and it just really helped. So it was important to go back and get them because I got some shots that I wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. And then what I did is I waited for all the photographers to clear before I filmed all the rest of the end of the video and some of the drone footage. My favourite shot from the morning is this one. I like the way that the slow shutter speed has smoothed out the water and dragged out the clouds. We've got some great purple, pinks and blue colours in the clouds which really set the image off. But the composition as well is not by accident. I've placed the tree on the thirds, but I've also moved myself so that the tree falls in almost in the valley, the V shape of where the two hills meet, and it just makes the composition feel correct. So the background hills were placed just as importantly as where the tree in the foreground was placed. So I hope you like this one. Now the final shoots that I'm going to talk about is my Kingfisher series. Now there's not one particular video. What I'm going to do is just lump them all together because it's very difficult to pick out one that's my favourite, and it's the same with all of the photographs. I don't think I'm going to be able to choose an actual favourite shot, but it all started about a year and a half ago, back in September last year, when a neighbour told me that he'd got a kingfisher visiting his pond, and so I went down to try and get a picture, but realised very quickly that I wasn't going to be able to get a good shot because I was too exposed. So I had a chat with the owner and we talked about setting up a hide. So I've got a video where I actually built the hide initially, and then I got some really nice pictures, and over time I developed the perches around the pond and in front of the hide to get even better pictures. And so I've got some really close-up shots of the kingfisher, which I really like. And then earlier this year, I also improved the hide again and built it up onto stilts. I've got a video of that. That was really interesting. Shortly after, there was a big problem with the stream that flows alongside the pond, and that some pollution got into the river and the kingfisher disappeared for a long while. The kingfisher now has returned. I have revisited the hide fairly recently and I've got some more great shots of the kingfisher. Sometimes when I go down to the kingfisher hide, I won't always take the vlogging camera. Taking pictures and talking doesn't really work very well because you can disturb the birds. So what I'll do is I'll just take the pictures with the DSLR and then go down another day and take all of the video that I'll put in between. Now I will let you into a little secret. On the last video I did where I got the shots of the otters, I did say that I filmed it over 13 hours, and that is absolutely the truth. I did sit in the hide taking pictures for 13 hours, but I didn't have my vlogging camera with me at any point. So what I did is I went back to the hide another day with the vlogging camera and a bag full of different jumpers and coats, and I just, every time I filmed a different day, I put a different sweater on or a different coat on just to make it look a little bit different. So there's a little bit of behind the scenes details. So while I've been talking, I will have put a few shots of the kingfisher on the screen. I can't really pick a best one, but I'm going to put a few more of my favourite on the screen now. I hope you've enjoyed that video, even though it's been slightly different than the normal style of video. I hope to be back to my normal vlogs next week, but I just haven't felt fit enough to get out with the camera this week. But even so, I hope you've still found something to take away from this video that's been useful. Most of all, just to get out and enjoy your photography. Don't forget to leave me your questions down below in the comments for my question and answer video that's coming up shortly. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, or even if you haven't, do let me know down below in the comments, because it'll give me an idea about whether to make this kind of content again. And you can also let me know on my Instagram account, that's @Oakden Photography. Go over there. You can also check out lots of my pictures. Now, if you like what I do on the channel, you can support me by visiting my Teespring store. There I've got a range of merchandise on offer and loads of new designs that I've just put on. So go and check those out. But you don't have to spend any money at all to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking like, subscribe and the bell notifications. That way you stay up to date with all of my future releases, and it really helps me out. Go and check out this video just up here. Watch out for next week's video. That goes live at 4 o'clock on Sunday. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe. And I'll see you soon.